The magic of getting 1% better every day. Have you ever watched a tree grow? It starts small, just a tiny seed, nothing much to look at. You could walk past it and never notice. But if you give it sunlight, a little water, a little love, that seed will grow. Not all at once, not in a day, but little by little, it becomes something strong. That's the way life works. That's also how change happens, and it's how success is built. Not by big leaps, not by giant steps, but by something much smaller. Tiny steps, small changes, little habits. Just 1% better every day. I want to tell you a story. Not about someone famous, not about someone rich, but someone just like you. Her name is Jane. She worked at a bookstore. Every morning, she brewed a cup of tea, sat by her small window, and wrote in her journal. She felt stuck, not unhappy, just tired. Tired of trying and falling short. Tired of big promises and no results. She had dreams, though. She wanted to save money, eat better, read more books, be a little more present with her family. Nothing wild, just better. But everything felt big, too big. So she waited and waited, until one rainy Sunday afternoon, she read a line that changed everything. If you get 1% better each day for a year, you'll be 37 times better by the end of the year. She closed the book, stared at the wall, and whispered to herself, "Just 1%?" Let's talk about that number. 1%. It feels so small, like it wouldn't matter. But here's the secret. It does. Think of it like this. Imagine you're on a plane, flying from Lagos to London. If the pilot turns the nose of the plane just 1% to the right, you won't notice at first. The plane still takes off, still flies. But after hours in the sky, that tiny shift will land you in Paris instead of London. That's the power of 1%. It's quiet, it's gentle, but it changes your direction. Back to Jane. The next morning, she didn't try to change her whole life. She didn't throw out her pantry, didn't write a 30-day plan. She just did one thing. She added one extra sip of water before her tea. That was her 1%, nothing more. The next day, she added one more page to her reading. The day after that, she put $1 in a jar labeled Tiny Steps. That was it. No fireworks, no big aha moment, just soft, simple choices. Over time, those tiny steps began to build. She started sleeping better. She laughed more. Her bank account, though still small, began to feel hopeful. All from those 1% changes. Let's pause here. You might be thinking, how can something so small make a big difference? Here's how. Habits are like compound interest. You don't see it right away, but over time, they grow. Like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, but as it rolls, it gathers more snow, and more, and more. That's how habits work. They stack, they build, they quietly shape your life. The 1% rule doesn't ask you to be perfect. It just asks you to show up. Every day. A little better, just a tiny bit. That's it. Think of your life like a garden. If you plant one small seed of effort today, you may not see a bloom tomorrow. But that doesn't mean it's not growing. The roots are forming. The soil is changing. The sun is working. You just have to keep watering it. That's what 1% is. It's the watering, the tiny action, the gentle shift. Let me give you a few examples. Want to read more books? Start with 1 page a day, just one. Want to save more money? Start with $1 a week. Put it in a jar. Label it growth. Want to exercise? Just stretch for 2 minutes before bed. Don't aim for a marathon. Aim for a stretch. That's how change begins. Small, quiet, consistent. Now, let's talk about something important. Bad habits grow the same way. If you let yourself slide 1% in the wrong direction, it adds up too. Skipping one workout, spending one extra dollar, telling one small lie, choosing anger instead of peace, just once. It doesn't seem like much, but just like good habits, bad ones compound too. Every choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you save $1, you're voting to become someone who manages money well. Every time you skip the soda, you're voting for someone who honors their body. Every time you write one sentence, you're voting for someone who keeps their promises. These votes don't have to be perfect. They just have to be gentle and honest. Let's go back to Jane. 6 months after she started her 1% journey, she didn't look very different on the outside. She still worked at the bookstore, still had her tiny apartment, still drank her tea by the window. But inside, she had grown stronger, calmer, prouder of herself. She had saved $162, finished 3 books, started writing again, and most of all, she began to trust herself. Not because she made huge leaps, but because she kept her tiny promises. Sometimes we wait for motivation. We say, "I'll start when I feel ready. I'll change when life slows down. I'll try when the time is right." But here's the truth. You don't need motivation. You need momentum. And momentum begins with a tiny move, like turning on soft music, lighting a candle, taking one deep breath. You don't climb a mountain in one step. You take the first small step, then another, then another. That's how you get to the top. So, if you're listening to this right now, feeling stuck, feeling behind, feeling small, I want you to know something. You are not alone. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You just need to begin, softly, quietly, today. Pick one tiny thing. Drink an extra glass of water. Set a 5-minute timer to read. Put $1 in a jar. Whatever it is, let it be your 1%. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about the end. Just start. And here's one last thing to remember. You won't always see the change. Like the roots under the soil, growth often hides. You might feel like nothing's working, like nothing's moving, like your tiny steps aren't enough. But trust the process. Every time you show up, you are writing a better story. Every tiny step is a whisper to your future self, "I believe in you." And that belief, it's stronger than any habit. It's the start of everything. So tonight or tomorrow morning, take a deep breath, smile softly, and remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be 1% better. So maybe now you're starting to see it too. That the 1% rule, it's not about speed. It's not about pressure. It's not even about success the way most people talk about it. It's about direction. It's about choosing the tiniest shift and sticking with it. Just one small thing, done again and again until it quietly rewrites your story. Jane didn't change her life overnight. She changed it slowly, softly, 1% at a time. And somewhere along that gentle path, she began to notice something else. Something more than progress. Something more than goals. She started to feel different, clearer, stronger, kinder to herself. Because the steps she took, they weren't just habits. They were teachers. Each one held a message, a little truth, a quiet gift. And over time, those tiny steps whispered back to her, "Here is what you've learned. Here is how you've grown. Here is who you're becoming." Let's take a moment to listen to those lessons now. Lesson 1. Learning is growing. Jane discovered that every time she tried, she learned. Even if she didn't get it right, she grew. She learned something about herself, something about the world. Learning, even tiny learning, is a kind of growing. And growing means you're moving forward. Lesson 2. Small is strong. At first, Jane thought small steps didn't count, but then she saw their quiet power. $1, 1 page, 1 glass of water. They seemed tiny, but they added up. She learned that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet and slow, but steady. Lesson 3. Being gentle is brave. She used to think she had to push hard, be strict, be perfect. But instead, she found that being kind to herself helped more. When she messed up, she didn't quit. She forgave. She tried again. Being gentle gave her courage. Gentleness is a quiet kind of bravery. Lesson 4. Identity is built, not found. Jane didn't wait to become someone new. She built it. Each habit, each 1%, was like laying a brick. Not to build a house, but to build herself. She learned that who you are is what you do, a little at a time. Lesson 5. Trust the process, not the speed. There were days she saw no change, no reward, but she kept going. She stopped rushing, stopped chasing fast results. She trusted the process. She learned that slow progress is still progress, and sometimes slow is where the magic lives. Lesson 6. Habits are love in action. Every small habit was an I care. I care for my mind. I care for my body. I care for my peace. Jane saw that habits aren't about control. They're about kindness. They're quiet ways of saying, I'm worth the effort. Lesson 7. You can begin again anytime. Some days she missed a step. Some days she forgot. But she learned not to quit. Instead, she began again, softly, without shame. Because beginning again isn't failure, it's strength. Lesson 8. The smallest changes shape the biggest stories. Jane didn't change her whole life in a week, but her small choices, stacked over time, wrote a new story. A story of peace, of progress, of self-trust. She learned that even a tiny step can lead to a new chapter. Jane didn't become a millionaire overnight. She didn't fix every flaw. She didn't stop all stress. But she found a rhythm, a breath, a gentle way. And now her life feels softer, more hers, more calm. And it all began with one small thing, just like you.